welcome to my YouTube channel Environmental Education Forum. Today we will discuss about the syllabus of the Environmental Sciences GC. The syllabus contains 10 units. Unit 1 is the Fundamental of Environmental Sciences, second is the Environmental Chemistry, the third one is the Environmental Biology, and the fourth is the Environmental Geosciences. Unit 5, fifth is the Energy and Environment, and sixth is the Environment Solution and Control. Unit 7 is the Solid and Hazardous Waste Management, and the next one is the Environmental Assessment, Management and Legislation. And the Unit 9 is the Statistical Approaches and Modeling in Environmental Sciences, and Unit 10 is the Contemporary Environmental Issues. Now we will discuss in detail on this syllabus. In the Unit 1, Fundamental of Environmental Science, the following topics will be covered. And the first one is the definition, principle and scope of the environmental sciences. Next one is the structure and composition of atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. And third topic is the law of thermodynamics, heat transfer processes, mass and energy transfer across various interface, material balancing. And next topic is meteorological parameters like pressure, temperature, precipitation, humidity, mixing ratio, saturation mixing ratio, radiation and wind velocity, adiabatic left rate, environmental left rate and wind Rogers diagrams. And next topic is the interactions between Earth, man and environment, biogeographic provinces of the world and agroclimatic zones of India. Concept of sustainable development will also cover in this unit. Natural resources and their assessment, remote sensing and GIS, principle of remote sensing and GIS, and the digital image processing and ground truthing, application of remote sensing and GIS in land cover and land use planning and the management, urban sprawling, vegetation study, forestry, natural resources, waste management and climate change. And the environmental education and awareness. And the new topic is environmental ethics. The new topics which have been included in the syllabus of the environmental sciences. Unit 2nd is the environmental chemistry. In this unit we will discuss about the fundamental of environmental chemistry, classification of the elements, stoichiometry, Gibbs energy, chemical potential, chemical kinetics and chemical equilibrium, and the solubility of the gases in water, the carbonate system, unsaturated and desaturated hydrocarbons, radioisotopes. This is the topics of the chemistry which you have earlier studied in the your graduation or the study, but we will discuss here in detail on these topics. We will read composition of air, particles, science and radicals in the atmosphere, chemical speciation, chemical processes in the formation of inorganic and organic particulate matters, thermochemical and photochemical reactions in the atmosphere, and the oxygen and ozone chemistry and the photochemical smokes. The next topic is hydrological cycle, water cycle, water as universal solvent, concept of DO, BOD and COD will be discussed in this unit. Sedimentation, coagulation, flocculation, filtration, pH and redox potential. It is denoted as EH, redox potential. Inorganic and organic components of soils, biochemical cycles, nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus and sulfur cycles. And the next one is the toxic chemicals, the pesticide and their classification and the effects, the biochemical aspect of heavy metals, mercury, cadmium, lead, chromium and metal whites, arsenic and selenium, and carbon monoxide, ozone, fine, volatile organic carbons and persistent organic pollutants, carcinogens in the air. And the next one is the analytical topics, principles of analytical method, bathymetry, gravimetry, and the form calorimetry, chromatography. In the chromatography, the paper chromatography, TLC, GC, and HPLC will be discussed. And the flame photometry, spectrophotometry, in the spectrophotometry, UV visual, AAS, ICP-AES, and ICP-AES. And the electrophoresis, XRF, XRD, NMR, FTIR, GCMS, CM, and TEM. These following topics will be discussed in the analytical method of the investigation of the chemistry species and confirmation of functional groups and other things. And unit 3 contained environmental biology. In this unit we will read about the ecology as an interdisciplinary science, origin of life and speciation, human ecology and settlement. And the next topic will be ecosystem structure and functions. In the structure we will cover biotic and biotic components. In the functions, energy flow in ecosystem, energy flow models, food chain and food web. And the biogeochemical cycles, ecological succession, subspecies diversity, concept of ecotone, age effects and ecological habitats and the niche. Ecosystem stability and factors affecting stability and the ecosystem services. And the next one is the basis of ecosystem classification, types of ecosystem, the desert, the hot and cold desert, forest, rangeland, wetlands, lotic and lentic, estuarine, mangrove, and ocean. Next one the biomes, concept of biome, classification, distribution of the biome, and the characteristics of different biomes. Desert, tundra, taiga, grassland, deciduous forest biome, highland, icy alpine biome, chaparral, savanna, tropical rainforest. And the next is the population ecology, characteristic of population, concept of carrying capacity, population growth and regulations, population fluctuation, dispersion, rate of population, concept of R and K, R selected and K selected carrying capacity, selected species, K stone species. And the next is the community ecology, definition of the community concept, types and interaction, predation, herbivory, parasitism, and allopathy, and the biological invasives of the various species. The biodiversity and its conservation is the next topic, in which definition, types and importance of the biodiversity and the threat to biodiversity will be covered in concept and basis of identification of hot spots and the hot spots in the India, major biodiversity strategies for the biodiversity conservation, in situ, and in vitro conservation, national parks, sanctuaries, protected areas and sacred groves in India, concept of gene pool, biopiracy and bioprospecting, concept of restoration ecology, extinct, rare, endangered and threatened flora and fauna of India. These things, topics will be studied in the unit. Concept of industrial ecology, toxicology and microbiology, absorption, distribution, excretion of toxic agents, acute and chronic toxicity, and the concept of bioessence, threshold limit, value, margin of safety, therapeutic index, biotransformation, major waterborne disease and airborne microbes. And the environmental biotechnology, in this unit, bioremediation, definitions, types and the role of plants and microbes are in situ and ex situ remediations. And next is the bioindicators. In this topic we will study about the indicators species of the pollution, air pollution, water pollution and etc. And the biofertilizer. In this there are several of the algae and other species which are used as a biofertilizer, which will be studied. In the biofuels there are several plant species and which are and other things which are used as a biofuels we will study, and the biosensors. In unit 4 we will study the environmental geosciences. In this topic, the origin of earth, primary geochemical differentiation and formation of core, mantle, crust, atmosphere and hydrosphere. Then concept of minerals and rocks, the formation of igneous and metamorphic rocks, control and formation of landforms, tectonic include plate tectonic and climatic concept of steady state and equilibrium, energy budget of the Earth's thermal environmental season, Coriolis forces, pressure gradient force and frictional force, geotropic wind fields, gradient wind, climate of India, western disturbances, Indian monsoon, droughts, El Nino and La Nina, and the concept of residence times and data of natural cycles, geophysical fields. Next one is the weathering, including the weathering reaction, the soil weathering reaction, erosion, transportation and reposition of sediments and soil forming minerals and process of soil formation. Identification and characterization of clay minerals, soil physical and the chemical properties. The soil types and climate control on soil formation, cation exchange capacity and mineralogical controls. The geochemical classification of elements, abundance of the elements in bulk earth, crust, hydrosphere and biosphere, partitioning of elements during superficial geological processing and the geochemical recycling of elements, paleoclimate. And next on the distribution of water in the earth, hydrology and the hydrogeology, major basin and groundwater provinces of India, and the Darcy's law and its validity, groundwater fluctuations, hydraulic conductivity, groundwater tracers, and land subsidence, effect of excessive use of groundwater, groundwater quality and pollution of groundwater resources, and Gavin-Harrisburg relations between fresh saline water. And next one is natural resource exploration and exploitation and related environmental concerns, historical perspectives and conservation of non-renewable resources. Next one is the natural hazards in the catastrophic and geological hazards, floods, landslides, earthquakes, volcanism, avalanches, tsunami and cloud burst, and the production of hazards and mitigation of their impacts. Unit 5th is energy and environment, sun is source of energy and solar radiation and its spectral characteristics, fossil fuels, classification, composition, physicochemical characteristics and the energy content of coal, petroleum and natural gas. Shale oil, coal bed, methane, gas hydrates and calorific value and net calorific value. And then next one is the principle of generation of hydropower, tidal energy, ocean thermal energy, conversion, OTEC, wind power, geothermal energy, solar energy, solar collectors, photovoltaic modules and solar pumps. Nuclear energy, fission and fusion, nuclear fuels, nuclear reactor, principles and types. The bioenergy method to produce energy from biomass. Environmental implications of energy use pattern in India and the world. Emissions of CO2 in developed and developing countries including India. Radiative forcing and the global warming, impact of large scale exploitation of solar, wind, hydro and nuclear energy sources. Unit 6 contained environmental pollution and control. In this, air pollution, source and type of the pollutant, natural and anthropogenic sources, primary and secondary pollutants, criteria, air pollutants, sampling and monitoring of air pollutants, gases and particulate matter, period and frequency and duration of sampling. These are all things will be discussed. Principle and instruments for measurement on the ambient air pollutants concentration and the start emissions. Indian National Ambient Air Quality Standards and impact of air pollutants on human health, plants and minerals. Acid rain, dispersion of air pollutant, mixing height, depth, lapse rate, Gaussian flow model, line source model and area source model, control devices for particulate matter, principle and working of settling chambers, centrifugal collectors, bed collectors, fabric filters and electrostatic precipitator. Control of gaseous pollutants through absorption, condensation and combustion including catalytic combustion. Indoor air pollution, vehicular emissions and urban air quality. Next topic is the noise pollution. In this topic we will cover sources of noise, the networks and measurement of the noise indices ELQ, EL10, EL90, EL50, LDN, TNI. Noise dose and noise solution standard, noise control and abatement measures, active and passive method, vibrations and their measurement, impact of noise and vibrations on human health. Next is the water pollution, types and source of water pollution, impact on human, plants and animals, measurement of water quality parameters, sampling and analysis of for pH, electrical conductivity, turbidity, TEDS, hardness, and the chlorides, salinity, DO, BOD, COD, nitrates and phosphates, sulfates, heavy metals and organic contaminants. And also the microbiological analysis, MPN, most probable number, and then standards for drinking water treatment, coagulation and flocculation, sedimentation and filtration, disinfection and softening of the water. Wastewater treatment, primary, secondary, advanced treatment methods, common effluent treatment plants. Soil pollution. Next topic is soil pollution. In soil pollution, physicochemical and biological properties of soil, texture, structure, and organic component will cover. Analysis of soil quality, soil pollution control, industrial effluents and their interactions with the soil components. Soil microorganisms and their functions, the degradation of pesticides and synthetic fertilizers. Next one is thermal, marine pollution and radioactive pollution. Source of thermal pollution, heat islands, causes and consequences. Source and impact of marine pollution, methods of abatement of marine pollution, coastal management, radioactive pollution. Sources, biological effects of ionizing radiations, radiation exposure, radiation standards, radiation protection. Next one unit is the solid and hazardous waste management. In this unit we will study about the solid waste types and sources, solid waste characteristics, generation rates, solid waste component, proximate and ultimate analysis of solid waste, solid waste collection and transportation, container system, hauled and stationary, layout of collection routes, transfer stations and the transportation of the solid waste. Solid waste processing and recovery, recycling, recovery of materials for recycling and direct manufacture of solid waste products. Electrical energy generation from solid waste, fuel pellets, refuse derived fuels, composting and vermicomposting, biomethanation of solid waste, disposal of solid waste, sanitary landfilling and its management, incineration of solid waste. Next topic is the hazardous waste types, characteristics and health impacts. In hazardous waste management, treatment methods, neutralization, oxidation, reduction, precipitation, solidification, stabilization, incineration, final disposal will be covered. E-based classification, method of handling and disposal, fly ash sources, composition and utilization, and the plastic-based sources, consequences, management. Unit 8 is the environmental assessment, management and legislation. In this unit, aims and objective are environmental impact assessment, environmental impact statement, environmental management plan, EIA guidelines, impact assessment methodology, procedures for reviewing EIA of development projects, life cycle analysis, CVA, cost benefit analysis, guidelines for environmental audit, environmental planning as a part of EIA, environmental audit, environmental management system, standards. And next is ISO 14000 series, the EIA notification 2006 and amendments from time to time, eco-labeling schemes, risk assessment, hazard identification, hazard accounting, scenarios of exposure, risk characterization, risk management. Overview of environmental laws in India, constitutional provision in India, Article 48A and 51A. The Wildlife Protection Act 1972, amendments in 1991, Forest Conservation Act in 1980, Indian Forest Act and revised in 1982, Chemical Diversity Act 2002 and Water Prevention Control of Pollution Act 1974 and Amendment 1988 and Rules 1975. Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 amended in 1987 and Rules of 1982. Environmental Protection Act 1986 and Rules 1986. Motor Vehicle Act 1988 and the Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016. The Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016, the Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2016 and the Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, the E-Waste Management Rules 2016, the Construction and Demolition Waste Management Rules 2016 and Manufacture, Storage, Import of Hazardous Chemical Amendment Rules 2000, the Batteries Management and Handling Rules 2010 with amendments, the Public Liability Insurance PLI Act 1991 and Rules 1991 and the Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rules 2000. Coastal Regulation Zone CRJZ 1991 amended from time to time. National Forest Policy 1988 and National Water Policy 2002 and National Environmental Policy 2006. Environmental Conventions and Agreements. Stockholm Conference on Human Environment 1972, Montreal Protocol 1987 and Conference of COP Parties and Basel Convention 1989, 1992 and Ramsar Convention on Wetlands 1971 at the summit at Rio de Janeiro 1992, Agenda 21 Global Environmental Facility and Convention on Biodiversity 1992, UNFCCC Kyoto Protocol 1997 and Green Development Mechanism at summit at Johannesburg 2002 and Rio +20, UN Summit on Millennium Development Goals 2000, Copenhagen Summit 2009 and the IPCC, UNEP and IGBP. The 9 contains the statistical approach on modeling environmental sciences, attributes and variables, types of variables, scales of measurement, measurement of center tendency and dispersal, standard error, moments, measurement of scurrilance and kurtosis, basic concept of probability theory, sampling theory, distribution, normal, log normal, binomial, Poisson and chi-square and Bayes distribution, correlation regression, test of hypothesis, t-test, chi-square test, and one-way and two-way, significance and confidence limit. Approaches to development of environmental models: linear, simple and multiple regression models, validation and forecasting, models of population, growth and interaction, Lotka-Volterra models, and the Legendre matrix model. And the unit 10 contain the contemporary environmental issues. In this topic, we will the global environmental issues, biodiversity loss, climate change, ozone layer depletion, sea level rise, international effort for environmental protection. Next one is the National Action Plan on Climate Change, 8 national missions of Indian. So National Solar Mission, National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Water Mission, National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Green India, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, and National Mission on Static Knowledge for the Climate. Current environmental issues in India: environmental issues related to water resources project, Narmada Dam, Tehri Dam and Mehti Dam, Kaveri and Mahanadi, hydropower projects in Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal and northeastern states, and water conservation development for watershed, rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge. National River Conservation Plan, Namami Gange and Yamuna Action Plan, beautification and the restoration of the lake, conservation of wetlands, Ramsar sites in India, soil erosion, reclamation of degraded land, desertification and its control, climate change, adaptability, energy security, food security and sustainability. Next one is the forest conservation, Chipko movement, Epco movement, Silent Valley movement and the Gandha Mardhan movement. People biodiversity register. Wildlife Conservation Project, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Crocodile Conservation, Government of India, and UNDP Turtle Project, Indo-Rhino Vision. These will be covered in this topic. Carbon sequestration and carbon credit concept below. We also covered, and then waste management, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, sustainable habitat, green building, retina, macular emissions norms in India, epidemiological issues, tuberculosis, arsenic, goiter, dengue, and the environmental disaster, Minamata disaster, Love Canal disaster, Bhopal gas disaster, 1984, and Chernobyl disaster, 1956, Fukushima Nashi nuclear disaster, 2011. These are the following of the top unit topics we will be study one by one. Then we will start the topics. In the next upcoming video. Thank you for